How's it going, everyone? Gotta talk some unfortunate gaming news in this video. Hate to see a studio get shut down, but seems to be something we've been seeing more and more out of gaming these past few years, really. And it's one that has a significant attachment towards PlayStation and the history of PlayStation. Officially shutting down, it is a studio that dropped some phenomenal games, and a game that came out early on in the PlayStation 4's life cycle that I thought had a lot of potential in evolving into an incredible IP for Sony and PlayStation. Unfortunately, things never turned out well for Ready at Dawn as far as the future of them after the release of the Order 1886, and Meta has closed Ready at Dawn, and that was confirmed by a spokesperson for Meta, to Gamatsu. A little bit of insight on that we'll talk about in my memories of Ready at Dawn, which, you know, I get it that they were never the upper echelon studios that had a relationship with PlayStation. You look at the Insomniacs of the world, which Insomniac was a second-party studio much like Ready at Dawn for a long time, and other first-party studios, your Naughty Dogs of the world, your Gorillas of the world. Ready at Dawn was never that, but even prior to Order 1886, they had put out some fantastic games. So we'll talk about that, give you guys a little bit of my thoughts. So Ready at Dawn was established all the way back in 2003, and it was acquired by Meta in June of 2020. After the release of Order 1886, they kind of went on and did their own thing for a while, and it has been confirmed that Meta themselves are shutting down Ready at Dawn. Meta, as far as its future in the gaming world goes and doing top-level games, I don't know what that is exactly going to consist of, but talking about Ready at Dawn is super disappointing to see this news, because while Order 1886 is probably what they're attached to the most, let's also circle back to talk about some of their other games that they worked on. As a longtime fan of the PSP was one of my favorite platforms growing up. Guys, the late 2000s, having the PS3 and the PSP, some of my favorite gaming experiences were on there, and Ready at Dawn, if you don't know, was integral. It was absolutely necessary for them to do a lot of these PSP games. That includes Daxter, God of War Chains of Olympus, and God of War Ghosts of Sparta, all for PSP. If you talk about the PSP, especially some of those more tragic years for the platform, you know, Ready at Dawn was out there consistently dropping quality titles for the PSP. They also worked on Okami on the Nintendo Wii, and they did do the God of War Origins collection on the PlayStation 3, which was just a port of Ghost of Sparta as well as Chains of Olympus, which, by the way, that collection, along with God of War HD collection, stuck on PlayStation 3 Purgatory. I'm sure they'll drop those games at some point on the PlayStation 4 and 5 via PlayStation Plus Premium or something like that, but also, when you look at Ready at Dawn, I get that there's so much attention around Order 1886, but Daxter, 85 on Metacritic. God of War Chains of Olympus, 91 on Metacritic. Okami on the Nintendo Wii, to be fair, you know, Capcom had laid the infrastructure for that game, but 90 on Okami. God of War Ghost of Sparta, 86. I liked Ghost of Sparta more than Chains of Olympus. You guys that have played both titles, let me know what you think on that. And the Origins collection, 84 out of 100, and, you know, that was a collection of the PSP games on PlayStation 3. Those games were never going to look at the level of PS3 new releases, but 84 on that, 86, 90, 91, 85. Any studio would kill to have that kind of track record, and Ready at Dawn had that. Obviously, after the release of God of War Origins Collection, everything went to hell. 3.5 years later, they put out Order 1886, and that game was a hotly anticipated PlayStation 4 game that dropped back in February of 2015. It was one of those early PS4 titles that was designed to be a system seller for the game. For the console, I should say. You know, up until that point, as far as exclusives go, we had Infamous Second Son, we had Killzone Shadowfall. 2014 was kind of light for top-level PS4 titles, but Order 1886 came out swinging in February of 2015. At least that's what we hope for. The game left a lot to be desired. Now, obviously, from a visual standpoint, it is remarkable, and this is a game that had an engine built in place that it was clear that they were going to piggyback off the Order 1886's success, or their perceived success that the game would have, and create an IP out of Order 1886, but a 63 on Metacritic. And ultimately, the main issue that I think most people would have with the game is the length. You're talking about a $60 game that was 5 hours long, 6 hours long, depending on how long it took for you to go through the game. I mean, I got the Platinum Trophy fairly easily in the game. It was one of the easiest Platinum Trophies to get, and even if these days I talk about, you know, we have crazy backlogs, we can't have every game be 80 to 100 hours, which I think a lot more games are going that direction. 2015 was a little bit of a different time. I feel like that's when open world games really started popping off and people were really enjoying these games with, you know, crazy amounts of content that weren't diluting the content based on how big they were getting. We were still in that happy medium. Order 1886 came out, and it was just too little of an experience. We're, again, 5 to 6 hours of gameplay for $60. I just don't even think that would get by today. Plague Tale Innocence, I was having a conversation with a friend about this yesterday, and we were talking about, yeah, like something at that length is just not gonna fly, but I do bring up a game like Plague Tale Innocence, which was a $60 game. 11 hours is the how long to beat timer on that game, and that game did fairly well. I do think Plague Tale Innocence is a product of a different time, and even if it was just a couple of years, 2019 to 2015, that's like a lifetime in how games have evolved in that time period and their design standpoint. And Order was also released as a PlayStation exclusive. It was this technical juggernaut that I believe had a gigantic budget attached to it, and that is the game that I think people are going to hyper-focus. But at the same time, the saddest part about it is Order 1886, if you played the game, and I talk about it in our PSN deals videos all the time, and the game is down to $10, and a lot of you guys check it out. I get it that some of you guys meme on me and clown on me for recommending the game so much, but I think at a budget price point like $10 when it goes on sale, people are really surprised by how great of an experience it is. An incredible setting. The visuals are still tremendous to this day. And how the ending could parlay into what this IP could have turned out to be, I really do think it could have been phenomenal if they also developed it from a gameplay standpoint, because let's not get it twisted, it also needed to evolve from a gameplay standpoint, because as far as third-person cover shooters go, the game was fairly basic, but the infrastructure was there, the foundation was there, and the fact that it's not going to be realized into something more, I mean, I never expected it to, but it is disappointing that it won't. And after Order 1886, they put out a lot of games that didn't get a lot of attention, a lot of VR titles, obviously with the acquisition by Meta. Deformers came out in 2017, Lone Echo in 2017, Echo Arena, Echo Combat, Lone Echo 2. For me, if they could have just built upon Order 1886, and remember, you look at their previous games pre-Order 1886, this was their first foray into a true big-budget AAA game. You're talking about going from doing PSP God of War Chains of Olympus titles and God of War Ghost of Sparta and Daxter to Order 1886, pushing the envelope of what we saw out of gaming visuals at that point. That is such a stark difference, and I can understand why, you know, that shift could propose a lot of problems for Ready at Dawn, but you know, obviously, it might be the nostalgia goggles on right now, but I'm not even trying to say that the game was amazing. It wasn't. I just think if the game was a little bit longer and if they had an opportunity to do a sequel and build upon the foundation that they had with the Order, I think it could have turned out to be good. Maybe I'm just out to lunch and it's never gonna happen, but I was really, really compelled with my experience with the Order from a narrative standpoint, the setting. Again, gameplay was rather lackluster, not bad, not entirely terrible, it's just very basic, and it's a game that did lean very much on its visuals. Thankfully, the PS4 did get that system seller it was looking for just a few months after the Order 1886 with Bloodborne. Bloodborne was a slam dunk for the PS4. We'd love to see Order 1886 get ported to PC as well. Sometimes you just see games like this get ported, and then they find a second win. I look at something like a Valkyria Chronicles where that exactly happened, but you know, with Ready at Dawn shutting down, I don't think they're ever going to revisit the Order as an IP, and you know, it is what it is. It's just a little bit of a bummer for me, but that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Outside of Order, which I know I spent the majority of the video on, those of you guys that were fiends on the PSP, you know that they dropped some of the best games on the PSP. Daxter, bundled in with those PSP Slim 2000s, God of War Chains of Olympus, God of War Ghost of Sparta, all those games were tremendous. But that'll do it for me. Your thoughts down below, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.